Yeah, we are. What is up, people? The internet, that is me, Real American. Back in with a new stream, and that is right, we are live on this beautiful, what is it, April 3rd? Right?
April 3rd.
Yep, we were joined by Mr. John Rose. We might have some other people joining, but it's just us two for now. Wow. Liberation Day did not disappoint.
Not at all. So I think the charts totaled like I think 100 countries in whole. They had 25 countries on each of like the 4 charts that they had that Trump was trying to bring out, but it was too windy, so it was like giving him trouble, like actually showing it. But
Yeah, so we just showed, like, the
yeah,
main
no,
one.
yeah. So
Oh.
Trump implemented what he terms as kind reciprocal tariffs, uh, which is where they create a calculation, a mixture of bad trade practices, currency manipulation, and actual tariffs on our products. And every country is given a score between 0 and 99 based off of that. And we charge them half of that number. Although we did get an actual way to calculate the number of tariff we impose on the other country, um, via the trade representative website. So,
Alright, now before we get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. These are all great ways to support the daily content, and if you have any questions, concerns, or want to support the channel even further, best way is sending super chats via the chat. Again, I read through as much of chat as possible, but usually super chats, best way to get your questions answered, and again, no super chats as of now, but send them as you may. Yeah, so as John was saying, yesterday was Liberation Day. I'm gonna pull up the chart, actually. Yes. I found it. There we go. Yeah, so this is the chart that Trump had during the announcement. Now, again, this isn't every country that got tariff. There's, I think, 100 plus, you said, right?
there was 25 on each chart. It looks like, and there were 4 charts, so I think it was 100 total, 100 countries.
Yeah,
Um,
so right now, Trump has enacted pretty hefty tariffs. I mean, look at some of these rates. 34% on China, 20 on the EU, Vietnam at 46%. I think the China tariff, isn't it 54%? Or something? It's like, when you include the other one, it's like 54%.
right. So we already had like a base 20% tariff on China, and it's very obvious if you've been paying attention to what China's been trying to do to our markets, why we do that. But yeah, no, we're there at 54% tariff, and that was causing, before these tariffs even went into effect, plants to move out of China. Of course, they didn't try moving to the U.S. They were trying to run away to other countries, which is actually, it's wild. The Nintendo soy boys were so upset yesterday because the Nintendo factories moved from China to Vietnam, and they thought that they were going to be safe in Vietnam from Trump. Nope. We're tariffing Vietnam.
We're tariffing everybody. Everybody that's been screwing us over. And I know there's been that shitty tweet going around saying, oh, all they did was, divide, like, the imports from the exports, which, yeah, that's a simple way of looking at it, but I guess they had a full formula or something, or actually how they did it.
Right. I'll be happy to explain the formula
Yeah,
really
let me pull
quick.
this up. Because
Yeah,
alright, you sent it. There we go, found it.
go ahead. Yeah. I actually, I dumbed down the formula as much as possible for people so that there's no confusion as to why things are happening.
Yep, alright. K-Cup for 5. Trump essentially uses tariffs to cut the tariffs that other countries put on us in half. Median resist libs, so unfair to our other countries. Yeah, it's like, wait, if these other countries have been doing this for years, why haven't they had an economic crash? Why?
Okay. No.
It's as if tariffs work. If you're smart. Now, I'm not saying that some tariffs are dumb, like we did in the 30s, which, again, that did not cause the Great Depression, guys. This idea that the recession was caused, or the depression was caused by tariffs are ridiculous, but it's not going to cause a Great Depression 2.0 like some people claiming. But all right, I pulled up the chart, and this is the formula they used, and yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So I'll go ahead and explain it. But just to reply to what you were saying just then, yeah, it's the truth. Like, we're not people that worship anything. We like free market economics, but as Trump has said decades upon decades ago, there's like footage from the 80s of him being like, "We don't have real free trade," and he was talking about the electronics boom in Japan at the time, and it's like, I respect Japan for beating the hell out of us, but they're beating the hell out of us, and they're doing it with strategic tariffs. And it's really funny because in our own history, We used strategic tariffs and our export power to destroy parts of the British Empire. I don't know if any of you guys actually understand that, but like part of the reason like Britain had to borrow, like the country that started the Industrial Revolution, United Kingdom, had to borrow vehicles and infantry from us is because we wrecked them with Ford. We destroyed their car manufacturing with Ford using tariffs and using smart trade. And we replaced them at the top of the world using those strategies. So again, we don't worship free market, we don't worship tariffs, but we understand that tariffs are a tool, and that's what Trump's trying to do.
Yeah.
So, anyways, here's the formula. Here's the formula. As you can see, I made it really simple at the top. This is like the really like 7 IQ version at the top. Reciprocal tariff. What we tariff a country equals exports minus imports. That's the top. So if you notice, exports to the foreign country, stuff we ship to their country, imports to United States, stuff they ship to us. If the foreign country works hard to buy more stuff from us, then that number gets closer and closer to zero. Their tariffs get closer and closer to zero, with the ideal outcome being one day everything is zero. So we have no tariff, they have no barrier. Like whatever barriers they have, they don't interfere with equal trade. And that means no trade deficit. We have $1.5 trillion trade deficit that the entire rest of the nihilistic centrists of this country have been sitting on their hands over and not caring about. And I guess that's where we need to start. Why is having a trade deficit bad? What does it mean to have a trade deficit? The really easy 7 IQ way of saying it is that more money is leaving the country than is coming into the country. And that, in some ways, was seen as a really good thing around the time when Nixon took us off the gold standard. We want the Bretton Woods system. We basically were like, well, you know what? What we'll do now as a country is we'll give everybody else our money, and they will treat our money like gold. They'll hoard our money like gold, and our financiers, our capital investors, will make gangbusters, and they will make gangbusters because everyone is hoarding our money like gold. And who prints the money? We do. So that was the idea. The idea was that, well, what does Trump not like about that situation? Why does he not like everybody hoarding our money like gold? It makes us a reserve country. It makes us essential to the rest of the country. But the problem is that if the price of the dollar, like gold, just keeps going up, 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 and it inflates perpetually, always going up and always ballooning, then what ends up happening at the end of the day is that you have severe pressures on American exports. The dollar's too strong to sell our products to other countries. And so everybody around us has a production advantage that we're giving them and that they're exploiting. So they take the advantage that we give them through our policy and then they explode it with various different things. And one of the things that the reason why China has a massive tariff right now is currency deflation. So they see our dollar going up, 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 and they're like, I want to make gangbusters selling infinite products to United States. What should I do? Oh, okay. I'll tell my central bank to deflate my own currency and make it go down, 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 which artificially makes the US dollar even stronger, which makes Wall Street really happy. It makes our big tech companies really happy. It makes everybody that's not trying to make a living and that's middle class, it makes all of those people very happy because they make lots of money while they hollow out our country. And it also, and this is the other thing, like we had this big myth for a really long time that like China and Vietnam and all these Southeast Asian countries, like all these countries theoretically were making cheaper products than us because, oh, well, they use slave labor and cheap products and they're just naturally going to be able to always win in trade against us because they can just do stuff cheaper because they value human life less. Not actually true. The truth of these countries is that many of them socialist, corporatist, and they actually have just really terrible economic models. They're really bad at production. We are better than them at everything, but we set ourselves up to lose. They noticed we set ourselves up to lose and they exploited it. And so Trump's saying, okay, look, dollars the reserve currency of the United States, and we need to be able to balance this situation. And here's the big thing. Here's the really big thing. I know this is a long rant, but the reason this is so important is because in the future, one day, if we don't do anything about this situation, the thing Rand Paul won't tell you, the thing none of these leftists will tell you, that like any of these people on the TV or on Bloomberg or any of the economists that are paid by the Wall Street bankers and by all of the big tech companies, the people with money, the thing they won't tell you is that one day China is going to reverse their policy because they're like, oh, well, we've made enough money selling infinite products to the United States. Now we want the Bretton Woods system. Now we want to be the reserve currency. And what do when they make that decision? They tell all their friends, everybody except for us, hey, we're dumping the dollar. Get ready to dump your dollars. And all of the US dollars in every single foreign bank across the entire planet dumps our money all at the same time. Okay, so you understand that is the most terrifying outcome, most catastrophic outcome for the United States in any point in time whatsoever. That is the destruction, that is the completely bend over, absolute destruction of our country. Okay, so you understand that, right?
Yeah.
Like de-dollarization will destroy the country. And it's really funny because what do you do if the only thing we were selling to other countries was our dollar? We completely hollowed out our manufacturing. We don't actually produce anything any of these countries want except for base services. What do you become when you stop being the reserve currency with no manufacturing? You become India. So at the end of the day, what we're trying to avoid is a future absolutely cataclysmic level catastrophe that nobody gives a flying crap about in Washington, D.C., nobody cares about on Wall Street, in Connecticut, or any of else. They don't care because they're making so much money off of this. They're making so much money selling our dollars to other people. They make gangbusters.
You know what? That might have been
But
the best explanation of this. Holy shit.
Okay, right. I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this all day yesterday, all day 2 days ago, because I was sitting there like, these people don't get it. These people don't get it. I saw everybody on X, and everybody's freaking out. Even the people that are supposed to defend Trump, that are MAGA people, they don't understand what's wrong. And because they don't understand the problem, they don't understand the solution. And because they don't understand the solution, they're be like, Trump, stop the tariffs, the economy's freaking out, $1.5 trillion dumped, the dollar went down just a tiny bit, and Secular Talks Kyle is freaking out about it, oh my gosh. like they don't realize how fucked we are, and so they see the markets whining, and they're like, oh, well, Trump, you had some cool ideas with tariffs and stuff, but I've given up on American manufacturing. We need to go back to hollowing ourselves out. We need to just go back to that. I mean, let's give up on the tariffs, bro. And look, listen, we can't. We can't. We can't because the future where we give up on America is the future where you become India. Okay, does everybody understand that? Have I explained it proficiently?
Yeah, that's like the best explanation, Chad. W's to Chad for John. That was wow. Make a whole video on that on your channel. Please do.
Yeah. I'll do my best, but yeah.
Because that was, guys, like, again, I'm a smooth brain compared to John when this comes to stuff, but it's just common sense. It's like, wait, we don't produce anything. These countries are devaluing their currency, like China. They do this every year. Their currency always keeps going down, which makes it even harder for us to compete. And now, in a couple of years, I mean, China's been talking like this for years. They're saying, oh, maybe we can get off the US dollar. Gee, what's going to happen in a couple of years? Gee, I wonder what's going to happen.
Well, right, and so I want everybody to understand, like, China can't do this tomorrow. They haven't been able to do this tomorrow, and the reason Rand Paul doesn't care, and the reason all the financiers don't care, is because it's a problem they just throw away. They just throw the football down the field, like, like, basically, They pretend it's never going to happen or that they'll be dead before it does happen, which might be true. They're pretty old, they're in their 60s and 70s. Maybe they will die before China does this. But you and I are going to be alive for this, and it will be the worst reckoning our economy has ever suffered. You thought the Great Depression was bad? We're going to make the Great Depression look like a fucking joke if we keep going
Yeah.
like this. I'm not screwing with anybody here. Um, and so, with back to the formula, it's really interesting that essentially the reciprocal tariffs have been formulated in a very similar style to what Warren Buffett suggested about 22 years ago, which was this essential export. He wanted everybody to have export certificates and import certificates, which means like, hey, you bought $100 million of product from the United States. You will now be able to sell $100 million worth of product in the United States. And so Warren Buffett wanted a really strict control on that. This is actually a more free model than what Warren Buffett wanted with the export certificates. Because basically, what we're telling all the other countries is, hey, listen, make exports equal imports. The you don't have to do it tomorrow, you don't have to do it next year, but every day that you get closer to the trade deficit being zero, the lower your tariffs go until there's nothing at all.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And that's all they have to do. And this is really, what are we incentivizing the other countries to do? Well, number 1, reduce tariffs on us. Number 2, reduce other trade barriers. Number 3, stop manipulating the currency. Because the countries, it's not just China, but China's the big one. The countries devaluing their own currency are the ones making it so hard for exports to leave the United States.
Yeah.
So when they stop doing that, our exports can actually succeed overseas in ways that you never thought they could. So those are the first 3 things we're doing. And the fourth thing is really we're changing their purchasing habits because they are purchasing goods from other countries they could be purchasing from us. And the more that they purchase from us, the more the demand goes up. More demand goes up, the more factories and plants and all of these harvesting things are created. And so we will be exporting more while they reduce their imports. And that is what this formula is about. Now, again, a lot of people try to simplify it on X. I'm X. I mean, even simplifying even more than them, but they're basically looking at these 3 numbers under the line, the denominator. You have epsilon, you have phi, and then you have mi. And so I want to explain the 3 numbers on the denominator. So the first one, epsilon, I've called it the import go downy number. So the import go downy number is a ratio, and you can see in the bottom
Yeah, I
percent
see it.
change in import quantity divided by percent change in import prices. So essentially, what we're measuring is relative to the prices of the imports. How much less imports are there? It's epsilon because it's elasticity, price elasticity of import. So the import go downy number basically is the way it affects the tariff is this: the bigger the number, the more sensitive the market is to these changes, and the smaller the tariff gets. So we reduce the tariff if the market flips out and is really sensitive to these changes. Okay. So that's the first number. The number is a check like, hey, listen, if like the elasticity is way more than we thought, and the markets are just like literally panicking and freaking out, then the tariff's going to be smaller. It's actually at a higher number than what's suggested by certain models right now. So they've set it at 4. Other reports said that they should set it at 2. But as you understand, since it's under the division line, the larger that number is, the smaller the tariff is. Is everybody
Yeah.
following? Okay, okay. Second number, phi, pass through. I use pass through because pass through is like the easiest number. It's the easiest word that encapsulates what it means, but it's a fraction. And the pass through is the elasticity of import prices. Import prices divided by the change in tariff rate. What is that? What does that mean? Sounds complicated, but I call it the consumer hurdy number. So it's a number between 0 and 1, and it's like we're taking our consumers into the doctor's office and we're smacking them with that little gavel that you put on their knee, right? We're smacking them and we tell, okay, consumers, how much are your prices going up? And if the consumer's like, it's going up a lot, well, then we put it at 100%. And what that means is pass through is, if a pass through is 100% of all of the tariff cost is being translated to the consumer. And so what does that do? What does that do if the number actually was as high as it could go? If the pass through is really, really high? Well, if it's really high, then the tariff gets smaller because we don't want our consumers to suffer from extremely high prices. You're going to see increases in various goods, and it's going to be based off of this formula right here. But we don't want to actually harm our own consumers. So the pass through number is designed, the more our consumers are hurting, the smaller the tariff is to reduce the impact of that pain. Right now, actually, based off of the previous stuff, the number is 0.25. So that means 25% of the cost of all tariffs is being translated to the consumer based off of what happened in Trump's first term when he did similar things to this. So we're doing this based off of previous data. And if you think of it that way,
Interesting. I didn't think about that.
this is a really fascinating, pass-through is a fascinating number, and the fact that the number is 0.25 tells you something that Bloomberg's not telling you, that the mainstream media is not telling you, none of the economists are telling you, is that in fact the people like absorbing the cost of these things the most are the Chinese exporters. And the Chinese exporters can afford to absorb the cost because they've been profiting off of exploiting
Yeah, I
you.
got I
So
got a good example when you're done, but yeah, keep going.
so the Chinese exporters have been profiting off of exploiting you. They get smacked with the tariff, and they want to remain competitive with other goods that flood into our market. And so they're like, well, wait, hold on a second. We don't want to lose these pricing wars with all these other countries, so we're going to accept a lower profit in order to keep our prices low. And that's been happening a lot. It doesn't mean that they haven't been absorbing the entire cost of the tariff, but they've been absorbing most of it. And so, and we'll see. And this is the beautiful thing about it, which makes it less simple than what that people on X are saying. Listen, if the Chinese exporters choose to hurt you and me, the Trump administration will adjust this figure up and make the tariff smaller so that you hurt less. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's the thing. The last number is really easy. It's just the import amount from the numerator, which means that the more imports a country puts into the country, the smaller that the tariff will be in general. Overall, if we import a bunch of goods from a singular country and the other figures are good, then we're really going to keep that. So right now, the first number on the denominator is set at 4. The second number is set at 0.25, which equals out to 1, which means right now, until things change, until the market reacts, and it'll adjust based on how the market reacts. But right now, it really is the trade deficit divided by the country's import amount. So the countries that are importing the least will get hit the most. The countries that import the most get hurt the least. But at the end of the day, all of these countries can fix this by making that numerator 0. If exports equal imports, there is no tariff. All right, so that's my
That
explanation.
was okay. Again, W's a chat for John. Just I knew some of this stuff. Again, like I was confused by the formula when I saw it at first, but then this is the best explanation of it because people are saying, "Oh, it's just the imports divided by the." It's like, no, that's not what happened here. It's part of it, but it's not the
Yeah,
actual formula they used. It's gonna adjust based off of what happens, which I think's smart, and
yeah,
we'll see. We shall
yeah.
see.
Yeah, and again, I know this is all complicated. So really, just the real quick thing is what changes the tariff number. The main things that change the tariff number are the biggest thing. If they buy more of our stuff, the tariff goes down. If they try to hurt you as a consumer, the tariff goes down. If they try, um, if the market's really sensitive and we severely reduce our imports based off of the price change, then the tariffs go down. So all of this is with our well-being kept in mind. And the ultimate goal of all of this is doing our absolute best to level the trade deficit to zero without hurting the consumer. That's the point. That is the point.
Right. K Cup for 2. John Rose cooks every time he speaks like this. Yeah, he does. The notorious Nathaniel for 5. If tariffs don't work, why does almost every country tariffs the United States? The future of the country at stake here, cheap goods be damned. Yeah, I mean, excuse me. Every country basically tariffs us at like some insane rates. It's like, oh yeah, 90% rate, 85%, some places 220%. It's like, if tariffs are so bad, why do these countries do it for years? It's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Dalton for 5. No one does it like John Rose. He needed to make this his own channel. Yeah, he should.
I do have my own channel, Maga Wizard. I'll try to put a more respectful. I put a very deeply disrespectful video out on my Twitter earlier today about this because everybody that was freaking out over this kind of ticked me off. So I spoke to them as if I was a Down syndrome patient. I'll make like kind of a more respectful video to put on my main channel. Just look up Maga Wizard on the YouTube bar. You should find me at my channel's name's just John Rose.
Yeah.
Anyways.
K Cup for 5. Media, Mr. President, how much you estimate we will make with the new tariffs? Trump, well, if you refer to the import go down number, we have it here. Yeah, that's all you gotta look at.
Yeah, right. And so like, and again, to talk more about the purpose of the formula, we do want the import number to go down. The reason we want the import number to go down is that the only way that we would produce more things is if we're importing less things. If we import less and make more, then we don't need as many imports. So we don't want the import number to go down drastically, which is why that number exists in the formula to begin with. The number exists in the formula to control and prevent that number, the import number, from going down too much, because we still need products.
Yeah, so and listen,
no.
By the way, Chad, like, I want to be clear about one thing. It's like, we're not going to know the full ramifications of this for a couple months, more than likely. Maybe a couple weeks, we'll see. But I don't know. Like, it's going to be very interesting to see how everything actually goes, because this has never been done before. Like, to this scale, at least. I can't think of a single example, especially the last, 100 years. Has there been any country do this?
It hasn't been done in a while. We had tariffs at the start of this century, going into the first half of the century, and we really went low and no tariff towards the end post World War II. But and then again, the premise of all of that when World War II ended was that Europe is destroyed. Europe is actually mangled, destroyed, and we have to rebuild Europe, which means we want them to have a production advantage, because if they don't, they're never going to rebuild, or there's going to be like a third world continent if we don't let Europe rebuild from all the destruction and death. So that was one of the premises behind doing all of this free trade. And then we came through all of this, and they rebuilt. The East Asia really took advantage of our consumption economy, trying to rebuild Europe, and built themselves up, just like Europe was rebuilding itself. And so now we've ended up in this situation. I was going to talk about one thing specifically, but yeah, go ahead. I've lost my train of thought with the other thing I was going.
Oh,
to talk
you already
about.
explained a lot. I mean, that's wow. But yeah, so this is
I just hope that this does. I just hope this doesn't tank the economy. Is all I'm saying.
Do we gotta really talk about this, guys? Listen.
Right. Go ahead.
No, you start, because actually, quick. We got quick super
yeah.
Mike for 10. As much as I tell my working parents to ease their fears and wait, they're worried. They hold all their retirement in stocks, too busy with groceries and dinner. How can I rely on what John Rose said? Just say that's a tricky one, because I know a lot of people are panicking. There's some people that don't understand like this, because it's very complex. Like, oh yeah, we're talking about trade deals, we're talking about pass-through stuff. It's like, it's very complex. But just say that, well, actually, John, you could go, because I got to think of something.
Well, like, the easiest way to like explain to your parents what they need to do, if they have all their retirement in the stock exchange, before the stocks actually dump, what you really want them to do, you want them to talk to a financial advisor, because I'm not a financial advisor. You want to talk to them and tell them, hey, look, we want to be built into more safe investments. We want to be in the safe and again, the whole thing that they're arguing is that there's a bunch of unsafe investments now, but the safe investments are all going to be the countries that are investing in America. So, you want to go through the news because we have had a bunch of companies promise to begin developing more in America. You want to look for countries that already produce in America and that are producing more in America and shift their stocks so that, and we don't have to go to small companies. Again, we are having giant shifts happen even with companies like Apple. Tim Cook's company is definitely shifting production into Texas. And so that's a really safe thing. So you can shift some more of your stocks into Apple. You can shift more of your stocks into the companies that specifically are investing in American production because that's what we're doing. And this is really the point, I guess, is the point of the markets. Why are the markets hurting? Why are the markets crying out in pain? Why is everybody on Wall Street like really doing their best to make sure everybody knows this is literal evil satanic thing? We can't do this. It's because all of those people make money off of the system I just explained. They make money off of the US dollar being the world reserve currency, and all of their investments are not in you, but in foreign countries. And that big conversation we just had is the explanation for why they do that. Why do they do that? Because of the Bretton Woods system, because of the Nixonian policy removing gold standard. It's because we specifically told the world, hey, we're going to be the reserve currency, treat our dollars like gold and hoard them up in your central banks. Well, so like all the foreign banks are holding our money and it's very valuable. And so we give them stuff in exchange for profits from their foreign companies. Okay, that's the financial class. That is the elite class. Those are the financiers in Connecticut. Those are the big boys on Wall Street. Those are all the people they hold foreign assets and everything else. So when they lose a lot of money over this, they're losing money because they chose to invest in people other than you, other than the American citizen. And what Trump is doing through the tariff policy is saying, listen, if you want this number to disappear and you want to make money again, you either have to use your lobbying money to lobby the foreign countries into lowering their trade barriers, or you take your foreign investments and you do what you should have done in the first place, what you were supposed to do in the first place, and invest in American businesses because you're an American and you want America to succeed. And because you like America, want it to succeed, and you believe in America, you invest in America. Not every company's going to do that. Not every company's going to do that. But like I said, there's a lot of different paths for these people. It's a very free system. They have a lot of reactions that they can do. And it's not all like, oh, well, let's screw the United States over. Listen, the reason that we're not worried about them screwing the United States over is because they don't have the cards. It's what Trump told Zelensky. It's what Vance has reiterated in regards to this trade war. They don't have the cards because their entire fortune, the fortune of Southeast Asia and China, the fortune that Europe currently is building, it is premised upon exploiting the American market. So, like, listen, they have all this giant amounts of production surplus because we've been letting them produce for decades upon decades more than us. And now they have all the surplus. Where does the surplus go? Well, if they try to sell it to other countries, those countries have deflated currencies because because of all that giant conversation we just had.
Now they're fucked. Now they're screwed.
No, none of the deflated currencies can buy their surplus, and so they're fucked. You get my point? And so what happens? What happens if they hate America and they want America to die and they just like it's just really that bad? Instead of hurting us, what they do is they go, "Oh, well, you know what?" They lobby a foreign country with a strong currency like the euro or the pound or the Chinese currency, and they go, "Listen, you guys," I just don't say it cuz like I'm bad at pronouncing it. They go, "You guys listen, I want you guys to slash interest rates. I want your central bank to start printing more money, and we're going to hold some of your money. We're going to make your currency stronger so your people can buy our products." They have to do that. And that's the plan. That's the whole point. I mean, I can't look into Trump's mind. This might not actually be his big plan, but I really think this is the plan.
Letnick's plan. I think it's Letnick's best end. I
Lutnick and Besant think this is their plan, is they want to all of these companies losing money right now to, in a panic, go over to the other countries and be like, hey government, listen, listen, listen. We can't do this anymore. Please inflate your money so that we can hold some of your money, and we'll strengthen the pound, we'll strengthen we'll strengthen all these currencies so that your people can buy our products, because we can't sell it to America anymore. And when they do that, they're actually saving us from de-dollarization. Because if the entire world is not solely relying on American currency, and they have a diverse portfolio of currencies, then it makes, if the de-dollarization catastrophe happens in the future, makes it way less drastic, makes it way less civilization ending. It makes it way easier for us to swallow, for us to handle, if they don't only hold U.S. currency. Now, I think Trump, Besant, and Lutnick, they don't want to end our status as the reserve currency, but what they do want is they want a bunch of other currencies holding up the world market, because we are not God, we are not magical, we are not immortal, and it's safer for literally everyone on the planet if it's not just us holding up the world market.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's another great explanation. John Willard for 5. Oh gosh, Willard's back. Orange Blob is just guaranteed 20 years worth of blue waves. We're back to the 1930s. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm getting sick and tired of this crap. You know what's gonna happen? All right, now, unless I want to be clear about one thing. This is a huge gamble. I should be clear about
Yes.
this. This
Yes.
is an incredibly big gamble. I'm not going to deny that, oh, it's perfectly fine. Listen, this is one of those things that it's either going to work perfectly or it's going to go to shit. There's no in between. That's the type of gamble Trump is going to take. And I think, honestly, it's worth it. You know why?
Oh, yes.
You know why I think it's worth it? So, I've been looking more into this, and there's just some numbers I want to list off. Because, again, this isn't just tariffs, it's just the whole economic system we built in the last 50 years. This entire system, I can show one tweet. This single tweet should radicalize everybody. Okay? Again, this is not just trade, it's mass immigration, overregulation, all that stuff. But okay, it's also trade involved. But point is, since 1971, housing has gone up 1,500%, food has gone up 700%, medical care 4,000%, college tuition 2,000%, and the median salary, meanwhile, has gone up just 500%.
Yeah.
What does this tell you? Everything's gone up in price.
Yes.
Everything that's essential. I know TVs and shit has gone down, but who cares? You can't buy a house. The median salary is not keeping up with housing, not even food, not even medical care. Man, this is a great system we got. And that's Bill Kristol. He is saying that, oh, this international economic system is the greatest thing ever. Does this look great? If you can't afford a house, what's the point? You can't start a family. What are you supposed to do?
And again, you have to remember, like, the people who are crying about what we're doing right now are the exact people who can absorb these cost increases. The people who don't care if houses cost millions of dollars. The people who don't care if their dinner bill's a few $100s. The people who don't care if they have to shell out a lot of money for private health care so that they don't have to pay $8 gazillion for medical services. It's like all of these people who can absorb housing, food, medical care, and college tuition, all of those people are the upper middle class and the financial class. And so those people are losing money right now because Trump just said, "Hey, stop it. We're going to stop. We're slowing down the consumption economy. We're boosting up the production economy. We got to produce. Push all your money into production." All these people have their money in consumption, all in foreign goods being brought into the country, imports. So they're not going to recover fully from what's going on until they lobby the foreign countries or they put their money into production in the US, which is going to skyrocket.
Yeah.
Because we're actually fighting for our own production. So that's the whole thing. So they have multiple things they can do to recover their financial losses. But listen, their financial losses are things they had coming for so long. And this is the whole thing. It's like, oh, well, I need a few weeks, I need a few months, like I need to see like how this turns out. The reason that like the Trump administration is not trying to be explicit in what happens, because economy is really complicated and they don't know what they don't fully know what's going to happen. They don't know the full repercussions. We're playing a game of chess, and we're in the middle of this battle with all of these other countries. And the desirable outcome is that out of the panic, out of the desire to continue offloading their surplus and not completely destroying their own economies, they come one by one to bilateral trade agreements with the United States. And usually the concession that's going to end up happening is either they give us materials we really need, or they lower the trade deficit, or any of the other things that we just talked about. Anyways, I know I've been rambling a lot this time,
No,
but like again, it's just a
it's
lot of
excellent that you're talking like this because
No,
it's
and one thing I wanted to say too, as someone who was dooming a lot yesterday, which I think I was kind of stupid for doing, John Rose, apologies for the dooming yesterday. I know you
all good,
were,
man. It's
yeah,
all
you were
we
getting
all get
kind of,
we all get silly sometimes. We all get silly,
yeah.
but
yeah,
like again, it's like one of these like it's easy to have a snap reaction, and there's a lot of people online that are going to tell you things, but you have to remember there's like really bigger incentives behind all of this. And anyways, I go ahead and say what you're wanting to say.
yeah.
I
But yeah, what I was going to say though is like everyone in chat, I heard someone super chat you earlier was like blue wave over this. I think if anything, now is the time to do
Yeah,
this so that like if there's a big issue, there'll be time to fix it before the midterms. You know, like it's not like we're doing this in like April of 2026. We're doing this now.
exactly.
The only big elections coming up are like Virginia and New Jersey, which like even if we lost them, wouldn't be like the biggest deal. There's like no major elections or anything that will like fall back this year. So it's totally possible if like this ends up being a disaster, it would be possible to reverse it before next year. So now's the time to do it.
I mean, guys, the best example I got is look at Reagan. In 1981, he took office and things got worse. That's what happened. Things got worse for Reagan in 81, and by 84, things got good. The same thing happened here. So this idea that, oh, the American people, they're going to vote against Vance in 28 if the economy sucks. Well, yeah, if the economy sucks in 28, yeah. But if there's a recession for a month or two in 20, do you guys think the average voter is going to care in 3 years?
Also, another thing too with the stock market, I guarantee that like a lot of it's just going to be like an immediately shock bump down. But
It
I think you're
is.
going to see it start gradually going up over the next few weeks. Like that's how this stuff's gone. When Trump has made tariff announcements in the past, this is what's happened. It's tanked and then made its way back up. Yeah, this is just going to be a pretty common pattern, I think, throughout the Trump admin. It's just yeah, announces something, economy tanks, and it
Well,
starts going up.
let's
It's
be
gonna be
honest here. The stock market we got right now is overvalued. Extremely. It's gone up
yeah.
way too much. I know that sounds crazy, but that's just the truth in it. I mean, what's a percent since like 2020? It's gone up like 500%.
well, like you want to
Also,
talk
last
about
thing, another
yeah,
thing I
go ahead.
will say, just real quickly, Jim Cramer also said the economy is looking crap, so we should be in a
Well,
good
we can
position to
project
buy.
that the economy's going to boom.
Yeah, no. So, anyways, I'm not going to promise anything with where the market goes. I'm not going to promise it's going to bounce back immediately, and I'm not going to promise like any specific timeline. And the reason I'm not going to is because the people smarter than me that have concocted this entire thing, they don't know either. We really don't
It's
know,
a
and
gamble.
it's a gamble, and that's not something to be scared of. The thing to be scared of is what happens if we don't. And that's what I just explained to you. The de-dollarization, the second Great Depression, like 10 times larger than the last one. Like that's the thing you should be scared of. That's like that should be crapping bricks over that. But anyways,
Now, I do have my doubts, though, about how much the price will go up for stuff. I think it will, a little bit. But, guys, let's be honest here. How, how much does Apple profit from an iPhone? Like, honestly, what's a profit margin of iPhone?
I wouldn't know off the top of my head.
I know, but just like,
Let's see here.
I've been looking into it. It's apparently like, they claim it's only like 20%. Apparently, it's closer to 100, 150%. The profit
Yeah, that makes
margin.
sense. Yeah.
So, these companies, here's what they're doing. They have cheap labor, all right? Because they want to have costs go down, which is, again, that's business. That's common sense for a business. You want to make things that make money, of course. But what they're doing is they're having these ridiculous, like 150% profit margins, 120%. Guys, How can anyone? First of all, why aren't people mad at Apple for having slave labor and profiting, having that big of a profit margin? No one's talking about that.
Wow.
No one
That
ever
was
talks about
something
that.
I was saying that a lot last year, and we talked about it a bit during the election season. It's just because, like, a lot of these countries, especially in Southeast Asia, but across the globe, they really do have terrible human rights via like not I'm not saying like human rights is something everybody believes in, but like we as Western like countries have this idea of how people are supposed to be treated, how human beings are supposed to be treated, and like overall the kinds of lives that these people are being forced to lead is like the kind of stuff that like we talk about similar conditions in the 1800s during industrialization, and we're like, that was so horrible, we were horrible people for doing that to our own people, but then we're just comfortable if it happens thousands of miles away in a place that we don't look at.
Yeah.
That seems to be like the whole thing, is that we're okay with it, we're comfortable with it, it just needs to happen somewhere where I don't have to look at it. That seems to be the mentality, and that's a horrible mentality.
We have
I completely
sweatshops in like
disavow.
Vietnam and stuff making crappy shoes. It's like the how can, and no one talks about that. Again, I'm not saying this would be perfect, but honestly, the profit margins of these companies is insane. They make, again,
Right.
companies want to make a profit, obviously. Like no one denies that. I'm not trying to be a socialist and say there's no profits to be made. No, I understand a company has to make money, but really, if you have cheap labor and you're profiting that much off of it, is that really even ethical? Like, is that, how can anyone with a brain really
Well,
defend that?
like by the average like centrist American's opinions, it's not even it's by a Christian ethics, it's not ethical at all. But by like the average person, even the average libtard, none of them think this is ethical. They just are okay with it. Now, and this is the point that you're making right there is really important. So the people that own all of the financial capital in our country are collaborating with foreigners, foreign rich people, and foreign and deeply impoverished people to pull money out of this economy and put it everywhere else. And like I said, there's a crazy instability that comes with that trade deficit that no one wants to talk about. Why do none of the people in Washington want to talk about the trade deficit except for Donald Trump? It's because they have no solution
Yeah. Well,
whatsoever.
they claim it's, oh, the trade deficit is perfectly fine. Listen,
No.
if we're talking about like $1 billion, that's one thing. We don't have a small trade deficit. What's it now, like 2 trillion?
It was like the last figure I had heard was like 1.5 trillion. Uh,
Jesus.
that is an absurd trade deficit with the world. And like people like Ben Shapiro, who by the way, almost explicitly said on Twitter, "Hey, like the reason I don't like this is because it harms my investment stocks." Literally Ben
Yeah.
Shapiro's words. But Ben Shapiro sits there and argues just like, well, like it's a lot like going to the store. America is the average Walmart customer, and the Walmart is the world. And so it's normal to have 1.5 trillion trade deficit with the world when, you're just like a Walmart
Wait,
shopper. And like
what? What?
and like that, and this was not like a long time ago. This was like a couple of days ago. The title of the stream, if you want to look it up and verify, was it was about Marine Le Pen being banned. It's like Marine Le Pen banned. Clickbait title. 40 minutes of the show is about like
And
Ben
yeah, and
Shapiro
then
whining
talks
about
about Le Pen
tariffs.
for like 5 minutes. The Daily Wire does that a lot. They'll like title the stream something. Like all their people do it, like good or bad people. But it would be like something they'll talk about for like 2 minutes, and then the rest will be about something
So
completely
you're
different.
telling
Like
me
that,
that the world is Walmart and America has
yeah,
a deficit of 1.5 trillion. So in the real world, wouldn't that mean you're like bankrupt?
Well,
pretty
right. Like
much.
the whole thing is so what Ben Shapiro is basically saying in he's trying to make it sound smart, but what he's saying is really stupid. What he's saying is America is a consumption economy. America will always be a consumption economy. We're supposed to have services and everything, and like we'll service other people and we'll be a consumption economy, and then everybody uses our currency and everything's okay because that makes me a lot of money. And this is that he actually argues, Ben Shapiro actually argues that the middle class has been lifted up by the past 40 years of
Yeah.
economic policy.
Yeah.
Does anybody in this stream actually believe the middle class has been lifted up by the past 40 years of economic policy.
I just gotta show this chart. You know what? I'm this close to just making like a chart. Who joined? Oh, hey, real time.
Yes, what's up? All right, is it just y'all basically just been talking about tariffs the whole time?
Yeah, and we'll get to some stuff in a second. I got a couple super chats to read. Jay Phaser for 2. Senate just rescinded the Canadian tariffs thoughts. They never said it. They're trying to, but Trump's gonna say no.
Oh, yeah, I will say too. It looks like Jared Golden has officially come out in favor of the tariffs, meaning they now have bipartisan support.
Because guess what? Jared Golden's the only one with the brand on the Democrat side. He understands that. Oh yeah, tariffs actually help his district the most. So
but still, this was such a loser for Trump. I don't think he'd be getting bipartisan support.
Exactly. Why would Jared Golden support this?
Well, he wants to win re-election by the slimmest possible margins.
Like, here's the thing: it'll hurt Republicans in some places, like Wisconsin, I think, but it could help them in like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and the rest of the Midwest.
All right. Lord Rhino for 5. Brexit W. 10% tariffs in the UK, 20 on the EU. Get screwed euros. Yeah. Brexit saved you guys from more tariffs. So good job.
That is actually something funny I noticed is like the UK actually does have lower tariffs than the EU, which is funny.
Well, that's because of Trump being an Anglophile. Like this is common.
But yeah, so guys, like the last 50 years of this economic system, which again, I want to make a whole a video on this, like talk about like everything. It's not just trade; it's mass immigration, it's overregulation. Yeah. But trade's a big part of it because it's just common sense. You have high-paying union jobs, they have pensions, they have a stable job, you ship them overseas. Gee, I wonder what happens. You have shittier jobs now. Wow! Less paying jobs. Good job.
All right. I'll also point out, too, following these new tariffs, the conservatives have started to take the lead again in Canada. So I guess people are realizing maybe we shouldn't vote for the government that these tariffs are happening.
I can't hear a word you're saying.
Hello?
The conservatives are taking the lead because the tariffs are happening under Mark Carney, so.
Okay. And speaking of Canada, apparently when their car manufacturers closed down.
I think it was a plant in like Windsor, Windsor, Ontario, or something.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, as a result of Trump's tariffs, an auto plant in Windsor, Ontario is closing for 2 weeks. Oh, boo frickin' who.
Yeah, how about y'all come across the border and work at whatever factories are in Detroit now?
Yeah, we have plenty of Detroit factories that are empty.
It's like just to pop across the border, I mean, you gotta, go through, the customs and all that stuff.
I've been thinking about like an example. Like, I actually saw a video of this on Twitter. Hold on, Andrew Jones for 5. If the world is shake over these tariffs Trump announced, imagine if he slapped the exact same tariffs they've been had on us. Yeah. If he did the same thing, but
I probably don't have time to discuss a lot of the stuff I sent in the chat before the stream, but
yeah. So, Eric Adams running.
Eric Adams is running as an independent now. He's realized he has no chance at the Democratic Party, which it makes sense.
Yeah, it's going to be entertaining. Like, obviously, Cuomo's still going to win, but I want to see if Adams gets. I want to see how much of the vote he takes as an independent.
Adams would probably take more if the communists got the nomination.
Oh, he'd probably. Maybe he wouldn't beat the communists, but it would be.
Sliwa might pull it off if the communist wins.
We'll see. He's not gonna win though.
He's not.
We'll see.
Let's see. Dan Osborne's running again for Senate.
Dumbass.
Hoppus is running, but Sununu's probably gonna jump in. I hear in like 2 weeks from Boston Nationalist. He said a source told him it's gonna be like 2 weeks. So it's gonna be a battle of the Titans in New Hampshire Senate.
See, Trump had a discussion with Anna Paulina Luna over the proxy voting stuff.
Okay. Ooh, hold up. We have breaking news, everybody. We have breaking news out of, let's see. Hold up. Yeah, breaking news out of General Motors. Breaking. GM moves to increase production of light-duty trucks. GM production increases out of its Fort Wayne plant, according to Reuters.
Indiana. There you go.
Listen. It's already working. And
before we get to that,
what?
Yeah, so like I said, this is gonna help. Like, this is gonna be very good for states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Indiana, like that area. But I think places in the western Midwest, more farming reliant, like Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, to a lesser extent, are probably going to get hurt slightly more than help. So it's going to be a very regional thing. So just be prepared for that.
I think Trump should really work hard on reforming the farm subsidies just so the agriculturalists can do better.
Yeah.
Yes,
we can do a
Seltzer's
lot.
totally going to be vindicated. Totally.
Yeah.
What else?
I did see memes on Twitter. We're talking about Iowa Senate flipping now.
Dumbasses.
All right. What else? So I mentioned that Anna Paulina Luna had a discussion with Trump over the proxy voting stuff. Or I guess vice versa.
That's a non-issue right now.
Who
like
cares?
I don't.
I guess Trump's just concerned with like a lot of the hate that she's getting now. Also, we had a poll about who the current leader of the Democratic Party
and
is.
It's nobody.
Well, Harris has a plurality, and then it's Schumer, but this was taken before Cory Booker gave his speech,
it's probably Booker first now.
which probably means that Booker might have skyrocketed towards the top, and then will probably collapse in like a week. So
I think if the Wisconsin Supreme Court race was like partisan, Crawford would have done a lot worse. I think the fact it was nonpartisan meant she did better. Like the Dem Party just has a horrible brand right now.
I think honestly, she probably would. I mean, if they had the party,
she would have won still, but
yeah, by like maybe half of what she won by. Maybe even less than that. All right, I got
clarified. Especially in the rural part of the state, like talking to people, a lot of people had no idea which candidate leaned a certain way, and they just saw the attack ads, like about people being soft on crime. Right. So,
and speaking of car manufacturers, Ford made a big announcement today. So Ford is offering.
I saw that. Yeah,
I'm trying to.
I wasn't sure if you.
Luke,
I wasn't sure if you guys brought it up.
I'm trying to bring it up.
Yes, bring it up.
Ford will offer employee pricing to all U.S. shoppers. For 121 years, we put our money where our mouth is, assembling vehicles that Americans rely on and supporting American jobs. Ford sent in a statement. So, yeah, remember what everyone was saying that, these companies were going to increase their prices by 800%. Yeah, about that.
WWW.
Well, again, go on.
I think this is a move by Ford for future prospects. Their idea is, well, if we help Trump succeed and if we help the tariffs succeed, then we're going to grow exponentially. And so if we give everybody the employee prices for our cars, it'll help offset any of the current hurt that will be passed on from the foreign manufacturers, and we will build up. And honestly, it's a really smart idea. Ford could take a much larger stake in the auto industry if this works out well for them.
This is what I think the companies are doing. I think companies like GM, Ford Motor, they realize this is their opportunity to really like make a big push, and that's why they're saying, you know what, hey, we're not going to increase prices. You know, we're going to make more in America. And this is what I've been trying to tell people. These companies, they're not going to increase their prices by 50%. You know why? Because you know what's going to happen in America? You have American companies. Yeah, they make stuff that's a bit more expensive. Like, I saw a video on this earlier. It's like this guy has a lighter. It's like $25 to make in America, just an example, versus China, and it costs $20 in China or whatever. It's like a $5 difference. Well, if you have a 50% tariff on the $20 thing, yeah, the price of that's going to go up, but people are going to buy the American product because it's cheaper now.
Right.
That's what people are not understanding. They're going to buy the cheaper product.
Well, and here's the whole thing, is that in the long term, over the years, if we continue doing this, the production will massively increase. When you scale production up, when capital flows, and by capital, in this context, I specifically mean the assets necessary to produce things. If you bring all that into America, the actual production price in America gets cheaper.
Exactly. This is what I wanted to bring up. Thank you for mentioning that, because people understand that when you make more shit, you have more capital invested, it's cheaper in the long run. The more you make, the cheaper it is. That's just common sense. Well, why do you think it's so cheap in China? They have 1 billion slaves. So they can make up friggin' how many iPhones a minute? Like 150 or whatever? That's what they can do. So if you start scaling up production in America, yeah, it might be a little bit more expensive, but it's not going to be as expensive as people think. It's not going to be 800%. It might be like, for an iPhone, like $50, $100 maybe. But just an example, or like a TV or whatever. But honestly, would you rather have a higher paying job that's like $50 an hour, or, and I should say slightly more expensive things like phones or whatever, or cheaper iPhones, but no job. Honestly, just common sense.
I just feel part of why I believe so much in these tariffs is because I know how people in the lower class live. And I don't mean the heavily subsidized, impoverished people. I just mean people right below the rungs that are trying to live not on welfare, but support themselves without having to do those things. And what do these people do? They have like a normal 9 to 5 job that really sucks. And then when they get off that job, they do Uber or they do DoorDash. They do some sort of service job for 3 hours after that. They spend like an hour or an hour and a half sentient with their kids, and then they go to sleep, wake up, and then they do it all over again, usually with sleep deprivation. If you don't want a country where people have to have 2 to 3 service jobs to supplement their income, you need higher wage jobs. That only comes if we're the ones making stuff and not the ones consuming. You understand, right? Like we have to actually make things if we want people to have those jobs. That's why it's like so I don't want people to work 80 and 90 hours a week in these terrible dead end skillless jobs. I want them to learn and grow and be in a better situation, and it just kills me inside. It hurts me on a very personal level because even when I was growing up, my dad at some point, um, he lost his really well-paying job, and he was doing the same thing, but he had to do that. What I'm just describing, he had to do service jobs that he was way overqualified for. That he has a degree and he had everything. It was way more than he ever had to do. And like all of these people, these smirks in the upper middle class and in the wealthy class, they look at people like my dad and they're like, "Well, you just needed more credentials. You just need
More
extra credentials." Bro,
credentials.
he spent 5 years in education. He taught in post-secondary education. That should be enough. Like that should be enough. Like everything else you learn in jobs, credentials are not everything, and credentials don't teach you everything. Credentials are actually in many ways useless and they don't produce anything. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing a bunch of people that make money in this country that produce nothing. Nothing. And why wouldn't I have contempt for those people? Why wouldn't I want them to lose money while the people who actually want to make things earn money, earn wages, get better jobs? Why the hell wouldn't I be in support of that? That's why I believe in it so strongly. I tried my best to explain it to all of you because I believe in this. And if we don't convince the country that this is the right path, then it's nothing but hell waiting for us, and that's what I want everyone to understand.
All right, K Cub for 5. The local Ford dealer who we have done business with for years has been wanting this for years. He had been so excited in recent days, and I see why. Well, now it's like these American companies, they're like, holy shit, it's time to go. Like we're up production, we're gonna make things cheaper, and we're gonna get jobs here. They've been waiting for years because guess what? How is a company supposed to compete with China? How? How do you expect an American company to compete with China? You can't. You just can't. But these idiots really think, oh, that's a good thing. No. Because what's going to happen, like John was saying earlier, what's going to happen when China says, you know what? We should stop using the American currency. That's what John was trying to make a point about. So, anyways.
Right. I believe American people, this is another point. I believe American people are better innovators than most of the countries on the entire planet.
Oh, they
There's a
are.
couple of there's a couple of countries, Switzerland's pretty cool, Germany, and even some people really downplay this, but Spain actually is really good. They have really good engineering schools and really good people. There's like a couple of countries across the world that are good, but we're some of the best. We have some of the best people in the world, and our innovators can't actually innovate on production if the production's not here. And that was JD Vance's point. Vice President JD Vance's point was basically at the Dynamism conference. He's like, "Listen, if you want more innovation in our products, if you want more innovation in the goods that our people get, if you want things to get better, well then all of that innovation happens wherever the manufacturing is centered." And the old premise, the 40-year-old premise, longer than that, but the premise previously was that we're going to design everything and the world's going to make whatever we tell them to make. Didn't happen. All the designers ended up becoming Chinese and or Vietnamese or South Korean or Taiwanese or whatever. And like all the people innovating are from other countries where the things that they make are still being produced. So that was that premise, completely false, destroyed. New premise. Manufacturing creates the environment where people can innovate. And so I wanted more American innovators. We were probably in history the best innovative country in the entire world. Like think of all of the things America has invented. Think about everything that we've produced and then add that value on top of whatever value we get from being producers, being manufacturers. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to making things, inventing things, and being the best on the planet.
No, we need
That's what I
1%
believe.
GDP growth.
No,
I'm getting
no.
so sick of these people. GDP growth means jack shit. It means nothing. Guys, I used to think that was a misleading stat, but like you can still kind of look at it. At this point, I'm convinced you can't look at GDP. You just can't. Because guess what? You know what's inflated GDP for the past 20 years? Or like 30? Government spending. All the GDP growth is fake. It's not real. And on top of that, we've imported how many people from the third world?
Well, if you want to go by figures from like people actually like examining it,
Or
I think
just a couple people.
Yeah, a couple.
JD in his kosher PC way was saying 20 million. Other estimates are closer to 40, 50 million.
That's illegal, right?
Yeah, no, that's not legal immigration. Legal immigration, it's like 1 million a year.
Yeah, so let's just say you have like 30 million illegals, and since the 60s, we'll say we've imported 30 million. So you have 60 million people here, more than we should. Yeah, what a great system we got. So all this economic growth, it's just going to the migrants. The average American's getting nothing. Instead, what they are getting is they're getting fucked. They can't afford a house. They can't afford medical care. They can't afford college tuition. They can't buy food. Food has gotten more expensive. How is that even possible?
So this is actually, you're tapping on another false premise. So new false premise. The idea was we're going to import all these people, and for a little bit, consumer price index will go up. But because of all of the labor value added by the people we import, CPI will go down long term.
They're going to work in the fields. They're going to work in the fields.
It's been half a century, over half a century. We've been doing this, and guess what? The CPI did not, in fact, go down long term. It actually tripled. It tripled over that time period. So no. So again, all of these things that these people are saying, the foundations of the economists, we've been tackling false premise after false premise after false premise.
That's why, like, these experts, they have never been right. In the last 50 years, every single thing they've said is wrong. Like, for example, just this thing. They were saying for years that mass immigration increased, was a positive. Yeah, real positive right here. So, I mean, it's just common sense. When you ship off your jobs overseas, your high-paying jobs, import millions of people each year, then make it nearly impossible for an American company to compete with regulation, gee, I wonder why things are so expensive. I wonder why salaries are not keeping up. I just wonder why. It's common sense. What?
I gotta get finish, but I gotta get going in a minute. I want to bring something up before I get going. So finish.
Go on.
So there's some grifters in Wisconsin who are saying some shit that is on the right in Wisconsin who are saying some shit that is not productive. They're publishing this fake texting thing that seems to be inspired from the one Trump did, where they're basically claiming that Tony Evers worked with cities to rig the Supreme Court election.
Are you freaking
just
serious?
Ignore all of this. These people are trying to promote this. They're saying that I gotta find this. Give me a sec. I'll post it in chat. I just saw. I've seen people talking a little bit about it, but they've literally made a fake text log that's supposedly from Tony Evers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
By the way, by the way, speaking of that, what the hell is Rand Paul doing?
He's
Like,
being
okay,
libertarian, dude. Okay,
Rand
yeah.
Paul is a libertarian, is supposed to be completely opposed to tariffs altogether. But okay, so I'm not going to fault Rand Paul for adhering to his ideology, but listen, doing press shows with Tim Kaine, the former VP candidate in 2016 for Democrats, like, you think that it's a good optical move for you, Rand Paul, to be with Tim Kaine? You think that the average voter looks at you doing that and is like, "Oh wow, man, this is the bipartisan consensus
Yeah.
against
So
Trump. That's so smart."
yeah. So
No.
speaking of that, before we continue with that, yeah. So this lady's trying to push this theory that oh my gosh, it's fake. You
Fucking
lost.
text this too. Like, it's just, bro.
I'm getting so sick of these
Tony,
people.
well, you can tell you, dude. This is just a copy of like the national security thing, though. It's just Tony Evers' attitude to the group
Yeah.
team. It's just a rip off of that, but it's supposed to be Evers talking about rigging the election.
These people are freaking delusional. All right. Wandering Data Geek for 10. Finance Bro here. The Chinese peg their currency and don't allow it to be floated. It's very hard for capital to leave China because of that. This is what makes goods, services, etc. so cheap. Yeah. I mean,
Okay, I'm a crash on.
all right, so yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just common sense, guys. China's been doing this shit for years, way before Trump, way before Clinton. Oh, they've been doing this for decades. Where it's like, yeah, we're just gonna make our currency so worthless that there's no way America could ever compete. And that's what Trump is trying to stop. But these idiots, like, they support it, I guess. Like, they're like, no, that's a good thing. That's a good thing for them to manipulate their currency.
No. And it's really funny because they're all of the like Wall Street people and the really rich people that own all of the investment in speculative stocks, they're gonna love this for decades. They could keep doing this for 3, maybe 4 decades, and then one day China stops doing
They're
it.
gonna pull the
And what
rug.
do? And they pull the rug. They let their currency match. And listen, since this is artificial, their currency will climb really quickly because it's already way below where it's supposed to be. So China's currency will climb up to this crazy strong number, and it will be, and everybody will look at it and be like, "Whoa, Chinese currency is so strong. I guess we should all hold Chinese currency instead of US dollars." And then all those people, these people that are whining and scolding you, they're going to be fucking poor too.
Yeah.
So this is for their own good too. They're going to lose money, and they're going to lose money. I'm not going to feel bad for them for losing money, but they're going to lose money, but we're actually protecting them from a long-term consequence of their terrible, nihilistic, garbage economics.
It's, like I said, it's a death cult. Because half these people are boomers. I'm sorry. It's always the boomers. I'm not trying. I know it's a meme at this point, but it's literally people that were born in like the 50s or 60s. They're promoting this crap. They are pushing us towards a death cult. They want us to go down with them. So, just not
like
good.
if you're like below the age of 35 supporting the things that these boomers are supporting, you are foolish.
And by
You
the way,
are foolish, foolish, foolish.
the only people that really give a shit about this, they're not young people. It's old people. They're the only people I see talking about this constantly. The tariffs are going to kill us economically. No. Like, you're just mad that your bullshit system that you've been pushing for, 50 years now, is finally going away. Time to pay up. Like, these people have been using this for years. They've been destroying this country. Now, we're finally getting payback. But, I don't know.
So like, listen, so like the U.S. market's like 350 million people, and why is the U.S. market so attractive to foreign countries? It's because our dollar is so strong. We can buy so much. The purchasing power of the average person, it's bad for us, but relative to other countries, we can purchase way more than these other pieces of crap.
Yeah.
And so they sell to us, number one, because they want to hoard our dollars, but number two, because we can buy more. And really the big thing is that if they decide, oh, we're gonna cold turkey America, no more selling to that market of 350 million rich people. So then they're gonna go over and they're gonna find some other country like, oh, screw it. Let's say Indonesia. They got 250 million people, right? Indonesia, you're gonna be the new America. We're gonna sell all of our products to Indonesian people. What are the Indonesian people gonna buy their products with? Their crap currency, their dog crap currency. They're completely abominable. Like no, Indonesians can't buy anything, and this is the same thing for any other population group you want to try and do this with. Is what they're going to happen. Now, China in the East, they're going to try and strengthen ties with the EU in response to Trump.
They're
But
gonna
at
make
the
a
end
big
of the day,
mistake. They're gonna realize, oh shit, we can't do that.
well, they're all going to get in a room together and they're going to make promises. And just like how Zelensky is always going to be shorted by the promises of the EU and the UK, he's never going to get what he actually needs from them. He's going to get small things like, I'll give you a couple £1 billion. Good sir, I can spare a couple £1 billion. Same thing with China. China's like, I need to offload a metric shit ton of product. Can you guys take it? And then Europe's gonna be like, we can take like 10% of it, maybe. So it's like at the end of the day, like Europe can't actually, and it's also partially Europe's fault. Europe actually could screw us over theoretically if they actually ran competent economies. But what they
They
actually
can't.
do,
They freaking
they
can't.
yeah, like think about the tax frames in Europe. Like a lot of those countries, you give half or 2/3 of your paycheck to the government.
It's
What are you
gone.
gonna buy?
It's
What are you gonna
gone.
buy the Chinese products with, bro?
That's what
What,
you're
what are you
understanding.
gonna do?
The EU, they have no money to consume stuff. This is why these trade wars. China's gonna realize quickly. Oh shit, we can't do anything because the EU, half their money goes, if not more, goes right to the government. The cost of living is crazy there. They have nothing to buy for themselves. So now they're gonna realize that, oh yeah, there's a reason that we sell so much stuff to America because the EU can't buy anything. But these idiots, the EU really thinks they can compete with us economically. They can't run anything properly. They need us to actually fix their crap. Anyways. Alright, Joe Longo for 2. Pappas is running for Senate. Yep, I saw that. And they have 0 purchasing power. Yeah. They can't buy shit. There's nothing they
Yeah.
can buy.
Again, like all the reasons they can't screw us over in this war are number one because of the ways they've already been screwing us over, and number two, the terrible ways they've been running their own economies. China can't beat us on fair grounds because their economic scheme sucks. The Europeans can't beat us on economic grounds because their economic scheme sucks. They can collaborate all they want, but we actually like even in this like terrible condition we're in right now, we still have better economic policy than all of them. We're up there with Ireland and Argentina in terms of like how good our practices are that like produce regulatory hurdles for businesses and general like capital investment like that. We have all of it. We have all the cards. They have
They
no
have nothing.
cards.
And that's what these
They have
idiots
no
don't
cards.
understand. That's why they can't raise prices. They're not going to be able to. Because if they do, they're going to get screwed. American companies going to rise, and they're just going to lose a whole market. Good for, and that's their entire market. They can't do anything. All right. What the hell is this? Someone sent me this. What the hell? So this is a former congressman, Tom Malantowski. He's a former New Jersey congressman, and I have never seen someone talk like this. This is someone that was in Congress. He was representing you and me in Congress. He said over 98% of the clothes we buy in the U.S. are imported, so we can pay the tariff tax for them. Or we could trade hundreds of thousands of Americans to stitch clothes, divert our workforce to the advanced manufacturing it should be doing, and still pay more. Excuse me. What? This guy was in Congress?
Yeah, no. And you know what this makes me think of? It makes me think back, if you guys watch a lot of YouTube, sometimes you get those ads for socks. You ever see those ads for socks, guys? And every single time you see a sock ad on YouTube in a video or on a commercial, they're like, well, if you buy one, we'll donate to charity. So for every pair of socks you buy, they're able to donate one to charity. Do you know why that is? Do you know what the percentage profit margin is where they can just give away products for free if you buy just one pair of
Oh,
them?
it's crazy. It's like freaking, I don't want to know what Nike gets. I don't want to know the profit margin. I'm scared. I'm scared to know.
So like again, it's one of those things where here's the trade they have to do. Either the shirt manufacturers and the sock manufacturers and all like these people they can choose to pass on the tariff cost to American producers. They can choose to do that. And we'll stop buying their stuff and we'll buy it from some other country, or we'll produce some ourselves with automation and probably Elon Musk's robots one day. Who cares? At the end of the day, whether we get it from other countries or whether we get it from here, they're just going to stop. They're going to lose all their business. So instead of that, they're going to go to their like 500, 600% profit margins. They're going, okay, well, I guess we can have a 300% profit margin instead of a 600%
Again,
profit margin.
That's true profit margin. Don't let these companies fool you. They say it's only 40%, which already that's pretty damn impressive. It's
I don't believe that.
It's 300%.
I don't believe that.
Guys, when you make shit in bulk, when you buy stuff in bulk, it's way cheaper, and it's with slave labor. So, and I don't understand this guy. Does he not understand it's the year 2025? We have automation. We hire some people to work at a factory, or a plant, I should say, that make this stuff. What? So you're fine with slave labor in like Vietnam, where they get like $2 an hour or whatever, but you're against the idea of employing hundreds of workers to make sure it's here? That would not change much.
Yeah, see, these people are Alabama cotton picking phobic. And what I gotta tell you, man, we love making cotton down here, and we still have the cotton fields, and we'll make more. And this time, instead of using foundational Black Americans, we will use robots. So that I'm just like we'll use like agricultural products. And listen, the capital necessary to buy the agricultural machines necessary to produce these cheaper, they will either be invented or they will be purchased with the capital flowing into the country, because everybody's like, oh wow, it's actually a really good idea to invest in America now. So like, listen, that's where it all comes from. The capital investment comes from the tariffs. The actual like innovation comes from the production existing here. Listen, like even if we had to make our own shirts, I don't think we're ever going to make our own shirts. But if we had to, we would do a good job at it, and it would be way better. We would be doing something 1,000, 1,000,000 times more efficient than whatever Vietnam's doing. I promise. It's it's not a problem.
And that's what these other people understand. Like when we make stuff here, again, first of all, it's better quality. That's the thing they never talk about. The stuff we're gonna make here is higher quality. You get what you pay for. Yeah, the shit's cheap in China, but it's made for shit. It doesn't last 5 minutes. That's everything in China. You make it here, it's gonna last a lot longer. It's higher quality. Yeah. Anyways. Alright. Let's see. Bring back cotton, rice, tobacco fields.
No. But yeah, no, I mean really, like think about it. Like whatever country wants to make our shirts from now on, they just have to be the first ones to lower all their trade barriers. Think about it, like for 5 seconds. Like instead of like the people who put up the highest trade barriers winning, we've now created a world economy where the country that lowers their trade barriers the lowest actually wins the game. It's actually really simple, and they only have to lower it for one country, the United States of America.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I'm looking into it. So again, Nike claims to have like a 10% profit margin. They're full of shit. Guys, it does not cost so much to make a shoe.
There's no way.
In Vietnam.
There's no way.
What they do. Go on.
I was just saying there's ways that they can hide the actual figure that they make in this 10% profit margin.
No, because they advertise so much. They have like deals and stuff. That's how they do it. But yeah. All right, hold on. People should look at Michael Pruser's Twitter. Let's see. Michael Pruser. Nevada voter registration is swung Democrat. What the hell? It's swung back Democrat. Oh, both were negative. It's still swing for 2024. Yeah, it's nothing. All right, K-Cup for 5. Winnebago County executive who was independent who owned a homegrown pizza place in Oshkosh lost to a former state assembly Democrat. Boomers suck. Yep, that's the boomer generation. All right. They're okay with using slaves from the Congo. Yeah, like the freaking mines. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Is it the Congo? That's the mines?
The Democratic Republic of the Congo, yeah.
The freaking mines.
It's really funny because, like right now, they're being invaded by the country northeast of them, Rwanda. I believe Rwanda is trying to take all their mines from them. And so like the DRC is super, like the Republic of Congo is like super desperate, so they're like calling the US like, please, please come fix this for us. We'll give you all of our minerals, like literally all of them.
It's great.
Me when the Africans beg for colonialism to restart.
Oh my
Me-
gosh. All right.
I'm like, that's literally what's happening anyways, yeah.
Let's see here. Slave labor's mischaracterization of it. It's 100% neo-Merkelism. Well, yeah, I understand, like, it's not technically slave labor, but, I mean, at some point it kind of is.
Again, like, when you call it neo-mercantilism, like, you're thinking that neo-mercantilism is a nicer word than slave labor, and it's really
slightly
not.
better. It's, like, slightly better.
Oh, like, listen, no, like, they're not trying to do slavery, they're just trying to do this, you ever heard of this thing called the Eastern, Co-Prosperity Sphere?
Oh my god.
Like, there was this country back in 1940 that was trying to make it, like, man, they had great human rights, didn't they? like the
No,
what country was that?
Yeah. This is a good one for Byzantine Empire. It's not slavery. They get room and board for free. Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Like, China has 1 billion people. Like, you can't compete with that. That's what Trump's trying to prevent. But anyways, sell Mortmeyer, sell for 10. Trump/America just needs a bit of time, 9 to 12 months for the $5 trillion investment of pledges to kick in. Greens to the Communist Curtin of Eugene, Oregon. Hello there. Yeah, so that's another thing. There's $5 trillion, which this was smart what Trump did. He talked to these companies before the tariffs started. He said, look, we're going to put these huge tariffs on China, on Canada, etc. So they knew about this. They knew about these tariffs for months. So they've been preparing for this. And these idiots don't understand this. That's why I'm saying that prices may go up, but not by 80% or whatever. Because these companies, they know there's going to be tariffs increased, and they're going to start making stuff in America. It's $5 trillion. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, no, we'll see. And again, I keep saying this to people. I get quiet every single time someone is like saying, "Oh, well, this will be fixed in 2 weeks. This will be fixed in a month," and so like, but I am willing to wait and sit this out. Listen, like, are you okay? Are you comfortable with like 9 months to a year of like a tumultuous economy versus like 30 years from now when you're in your middle ages, everything falling out from under us and us turning into impoverished third worlders? Like, which would you rather want? Would you like maybe like just like let the economy be weird for a little bit, or do you really just want to commit to the death spiral? Like, what's your choice, American man?
And on top of that, it's like, we don't know what's going to actually happen. That's the thing in all this. We don't actually know. Like, we have a good idea, but like, I will laugh hysterically if like there's no inflation. There's just like no cost increases whatsoever. It stays the exact same. We would like rake in 700 billion. Again, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but like,
my guess is we're gonna have massive revenue from this. That's not a question. We're gonna have massive revenue from this. But the thing that's gonna be the conversation next year in the midterms, Democrats are gonna be like, oh, the price of this washing machine's up 15%, or the price of this blank thing. They're gonna look for random things that people buy, and they're gonna have compelling arguments based off of anecdotal prices. And so what we have to do between now and next year is get really proficient at explaining the big picture and explaining larger figures.
They're going to look for one thing. Like, they're going to find one single item. Everything can be, like, negative. They're going to find one item that went up, like 1%. And they're going to say, see, inflation went up for this item. Which I personally think, like, I've been thinking about this. Like, what if you just, I'm not saying, like, make a new inflation index, but, like, what if we just, like, every month, we post, like, the main things of, like, the CPI? You know, like, what went up specifically, like, energy, housing? Because I think the CPI is kind of misleading, because it includes a lot of shit that's worthless. So I've been thinking about that, like, when we get the new CPI, just, like, average out the stuff that matters, like housing, you know, stuff like that. I don't know. Because that's what's going to
Well,
happen. They're going to find one thing that went up like 0.1%, and they're going to lose their minds over it.
well, yeah. So we have to monitor trueflation. I know some people like to use that term trueflation. It's an interesting metric, and we'll have like other metrics to look at. And really, I'm not telling you guys to cherry pick, but I am telling you the other side is going to be cherry picking like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to find general statistics that are positive. We don't have them yet because nothing's happened yet. And so we're in the past, but in the future, you're gonna have to look for the statistics that say, oh, actually, really good things have been happening. A lot of those are going to do with internal investment in the United States. They're going to be with shifting markets. Also, I love this phrase. Scott Bessent used this phrase. I think earlier today. He said that um, the stock market panic over tariffs is not a MAGA problem. It's a big seven problem, an M7 problem, and he was referring to the seven largest tech companies. You know, those ones that are partially gigantic because of speculative economics? Like those companies are going to suffer from all of this. But even though while they're suffering, the only solution to their suffering is to invest in America and produce in
Yeah.
America. It's really funny. It's actually really funny in that way. Um, but yeah, no, it's not a MAGA problem. It's a big seven problem. We're gonna have to talk really big about how, listen, the hurt is that these corporations, the help is you. And that I think that's the messaging. And so now we have to chase the data that supports that
You know what?
messaging.
I think we'll do this from now on. Every time we get the CPI each month, which again, the CPI is not perfect, but it does give us individual like stats for like housing and stuff. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
post the average of like the stuff that matters, because
Yeah.
if housing goes down, if energy goes down, no one's gonna care about. Oh yeah, the iPhone went up 10%. No one's gonna care. If housing went down 20%, which it's not going to, but just an example, it's like people are like, oh okay, I can buy a home now. You know, it's just like yeah, I can afford a house. So I might do that. I don't know. Because there's a lot of
I,
bullshit.
we can get like, we in the audience, you have a special thing going on with your audience, so like we could start getting more granular. I have stuff to learn, you guys have stuff to learn. We can all kind of help get a more granular understanding of what's going on with the economy. And so yeah, I think that'll be good for all of us.
Yeah.
I'm pretty supportive of that idea.
I can actually like talk to Mark on America First Insight, which people should go follow, by the way. We might just post it there. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Rap when Mike Lindell wins Minnesota. Oh yeah, Mike Lindell's probably gonna run for governor now. Gosh,
That would be funny.
wasn't he? Isn't he bankrupt or something?
I don't think he's bankrupt. I just think like he had some economic hardship, but I thought he was making a bunch of money recently. Let me ask. Let's find out. Is Mike Lindell going bankrupt? Questions for
Uh,
Grok. Is Mike
Christopher
Lindell
Grok.
going?
All right, you're describing core
And
CPI. Yeah, I know I'm describing the two, but I'm just saying like, there's like certain things I want to like just show people. Because like
No.
because people are to talk like the CPI for washing machines went up 20%. That's what they're gonna talk about. They're not gonna talk about what actually matters. So
Well, again, it's like one of those things where we really should delineate, and we should look for. It's like, here's the things that are going up. Here's the things that are going down. I know that that's something you really care about. It's like, well, what are all of these big things that deeply impact American citizens? What's going on with them? What's going on with healthcare costs? What's going on with college tuition? What's going on with all? Now, we have to do a lot more to help those big figures. But energy, housing, a lot of base goods, and even maybe even groceries when we fix the agricultural end, those are going to go down. And so that's what we're looking forward to. We're looking forward to base prices for people to exist going down while some luxury goods go up. And so yeah, we can learn together
I'm gonna pull up the
how that
chart.
all washes out.
Time to pull up
Yeah,
my favorite chart now.
pull up the chart.
I'm gonna keep pulling this up every single day, guys, to demonstrate my point. Again, this chart right here. College tuition went up 220%. Medical care went up a bunch. Housing, energy, food, all that. The only things that went down are TVs and toys. So again, this is what's wrong with America. We sold our soul for the bottom three things, and everything else went up in price. So
No.
All right, everybody. So I think it's time we end the stream here. If you guys did enjoy today's stream, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Last calls for super chats, and of course, John, shout out your channel and stuff.
Oh yeah. So if you want to catch me on YouTube, I'll be uploading more stuff at Mago Wizard. I think if you do @Mago Wizard on the search bar, it'll pull me up. My channel's name is John Rose. And also you can catch me on Twitter @RealJohnRose. I want to thank Rap for shouting me out last night. And for you guys have got me to 3,000 followers, 3K. Pretty cool. Pretty happy about that. I post pretty regularly on X. I'll try to post more frequently on YouTube. Definitely, if you guys are interested in us talking more about that content that we discussed today, I'll definitely kind of make bite-sized videos for you guys to share around with your friends and stuff. I think that'll be good.
Yep. Is there a stream tomorrow? There might be. I'm gonna wait and see how the market reacts and stuff. We'll see. Actually, we might. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. All right. Last calls for super chats. Last calls for anything. I still think it'll work. China tried this in 2019. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, China tried the same thing in 2019. They just bent the knee in like 5 minutes. So we'll see. We'll see. But obviously these tariffs are way more way more harsh than 2019. But anyways, okay. I think that's it, everybody. We'll see you guys in the next stream, video, wherever you see us at. Godspeed to all of you.